On the outskirts of a small town stood a hill, overgrown with dark foliage and pierced by nighttime shadows. At the heart of this hill once stood an ancient church, its walls disappearing into the veil of mist, while its bells rang eternally, as if calling for repentance. One dark and ominous night, the ground beneath the feet of the townsfolk began to rumble. The roar was so loud that it seemed as if nature itself protested against what was happening. And suddenly, the church, as if consumed by a sinister living entity, began to sink into the earth, as if devoured by a dreadful hunger from the depths of the ground. The townspeople watched in horror as their sacred place vanished before their eyes. They prayed, trying to understand what was happening, but there was no answer. The church disappeared, leaving only an empty pit in the ground, reminding of its existence only by the ruins and scattered remnants of memory. The townspeople watched in horror as their sacred place vanished before their eyes. They prayed, trying to understand what was happening, but there was no answer. The church disappeared, leaving only an empty pit in the ground, reminding of its existence only by the ruins and scattered remnants of memory. Centuries later, a house rose on the site of the vanished church, as if embodying forgetfulness and forgotten fears. The building was strangely dark and gloomy, surrounded by an atmosphere of mystery. The townspeople avoided it, preferring not to approach the place where the church once stood. But to those who dared to approach, it became clear that something was amiss with this house. In the night, ghostly sounds of bells could be heard from beneath its foundation, as if the souls buried underground were pleading for help, languishing in their... One day, a family moved into the house. They knew nothing of the history of this place, knew nothing of the curse that lay upon it. They were in for a terrifying awakening. Every night, under the shroud of darkness, the bells would start ringing, filling the air with ominous sounds. The family would wake up, trembling with fear. But when they stepped out of their rooms, instead of walls and furniture, they were surrounded only by shadows and ghostly figures. They tried to escape, to vanish from this nightmare. But the house held them captive, like a spider with its prey. It absorbed their fear, fed on their torment, until there was nothing left of them but dark memories and ghosts. Now, the local residents only whispered about what happened to this family, about how they disappeared without a trace, and about how the house now had new inhabitants, ghosts of the past, restless but thirsting for vengeance for their cursed existence. And so, the house on the hill continued its terrifying existence, devouring those who dared to approach its ominous walls. It became a symbol of fear and oblivion, a place where the connection between the world of the living and the dead lost its meaning, and where the bells rang endlessly, calling new souls into its dark embrace.